So just to start, this is a report that comes out that is available through the CDC, and it is a report that is data collected from 16 states, and this is a voluntary reporting. It gives an idea of a lot larger population to look at. Um, Here they show 117 people who reported illnesses. That only comes down to about 7 people per state. So this isn't an overwhelmingly risky sort of activity, but it's still important information. One of the things that is unfortunate for us is that New York is not a reporting state in this. And the other thing is that we get this late because the people that get their data collected in the different states don't have to report it until the October after the finishing of the calendar year. So we're just now getting the information from a year ago that we would have available, and that didn't have any new information available for this particular presentation. So this is from the same data set, and here you can see for 2021, the symptoms in humans are mostly gastrointestinal. There's some dermatologic. This has changed a little bit, which I think is not representative of the disease that are caused, but more the reporting that people are more aware of these things now. People do get generalized symptoms such as feeling tired or generally not well. There are some ear, nose, and throat symptoms for people that ingest water or they breathe it in. And if people get really sick, they can feel like they're not breathing well. It can get in people's eyes and get symptoms from that. And unusual symptoms are neurologic or musculoskeletal, and those are people who are usually pretty seriously ill. So here's a little difference in 2020, about 50-50 dermatologic and gastrointestinal, that is skin versus your stomach upset. But rash and nausea are the most common things reported. Mean time, mean is the middle number, not an average. And that is about 4 hours until people start feeling sick. And the duration was about a day. So not terrible in that regard. A little different in 2021, where diarrhea and vomiting were more often. Again, this is a relatively small number, but this is the data we have available. And the median time to illness is spread out over a much longer time, where it may be a couple of days before people started feeling ill, and lasted about a day. So this is the pictures of the skin, the irritation that people can get here on the forearm. And this individual probably was wading in water for a period of time. These pictures come from Ontario County. It's behind our little poster here, but it's a county south of the big lakes. So this is probably not a commercial fisherman or somebody probably more involved in just being in the water for personal issues. So New York doesn't have reporting like that. The most you can get, this is for 2022, is how many reports of cyanobacterial blooms that are available. Gives you some idea of the risks. So here in Otsego County, we had 18 reported and technically identified blooms in that year, but we don't know specifically about individual people. So one of the things that is pretty obvious, if you can see the person that has the rash, is the first thing you want to do is, if you think you're in the water where there's toxins, is rinse off with clean, fresh water as soon as possible. And this is what the CDC says. On the other hand, if you think you've been poisoned by it, you probably should get in touch with real medical care because the potential for it to make you sicker is something different. If there's a little GI upset, you don't feel too bad. That's a little different. But if you really think that you've been poisoned by it, it's the way they describe it. There isn't this over-the-counter sort of therapies that you can do for this. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Well, one of the other ways we can encounter them, other than direct contact with the with the water is that cyanobacteria toxins can get up in the air. And if you look at a raindrop coming down and it makes a splash, and as the splash comes in, the water shoots up the little bubble, and then the walls of that fall down. And as they fall down, they meet exactly in the middle and pop up another little drop of water. And that little drop of water can then be blown by the wind somewhere else. And you can get cyanobacteria in that little droplet because they make oxygen, so they float. In rough water, they get bigger bubbles so that a little more pushed up, and basically that droplet can be blown to us, and that we can encounter that as something that we would breathe in. It also is one of the mechanisms by which the toxins get blown all over the world. They can get blown to another lake or another country for that matter, and they are ubiquitous. And you can find them in hot springs. You can find them on the tops of mountains. You can find them in Antarctica. They've been blown just about everywhere. So just a review from the CDC, you can have skin contact, you can breathe them in, you can swallow them in water, and then they talk about eating contaminated food, and we'll touch on that briefly with a little different topic, but this is mostly for people who live along the coast uh, and use shellfish who tend to concentrate the toxins by their filtration activity. And if they eat a lot of shellfish locally, they can get sick from that. But that's not a common sort of thing to happen in upstate New York.